Hello, welcome back. In this video, we'll discuss the precipitation and combustion methods to synthesize nanoparticles. Precipitation synthesis is a common method for the production of nanoparticles. It involves the formation of nanoparticles through the precipitation of the precursor material from a solution. So we start with a precursor solution and we make the precipitate of the nanoparticle. This method is popular because it is quite simple, cost-effective, and can produce a wide variety of nanoparticles with controlled size, shape, and composition. The precipitation synthesis is a simple, cost-effective method, and it can produce a wide variety of nanoparticles with controlled size, shape, and composition. Now we shall look at the various steps in the precipitation synthesis method. The first step is selection of precursor. We must choose a precursor compound that contains the desired elements for the nanoparticles. Suppose we are trying to develop, say, copper oxide nanoparticles, then we should start with a compound that contains copper. For example, you may start with copper sulfate, and that could be the precursor for the copper oxide nanoparticles. The second step is solvent selection. A solvent is selected based on the precursor's compound. The solvent should be able to dissolve the precursor compound and provide a homogeneous solution. So the solvent should dissolve the precursor and it should produce the homogeneous solution. Thirdly, formation of precipitant. A precipitant or a precipitating agent is added to the precursor solution. The choice of the precipitant depends on the reaction conditions and the desired properties of the nanoparticles. Precipitants include salts, bases, acids, and complex agents. Next step is mixing and reaction. The precursor solution and the precipitant are mixed thoroughly to initiate the precipitation reaction. Ultimately, we are trying to obtain a precipitate, and the precipitate should result from the precursor material or the precursor solution and the precipitant that we have added. The precursor solution and the precipitant, they are thoroughly mixed to initiate the precipitation reaction, and this can be done by stirring. The reaction conditions such as temperature, pH, and the reaction time are controlled to influence the size and morphology of the nanoparticles. Reaction conditions such as temperature, pH value, and time are controlled to influence the size and the shape of nanoparticles. So when we start stirring the mixture of precursor and the precipitant, a reaction starts. And these reaction conditions such as temperature, pH value, and time, they decide the size and the shape of the nanoparticles. Particle growth and nucleation. So precipitant, when you add, it causes the nuclei. What are nuclei? These are the small particles formed due to the precipitant addition. These nuclei act as seeds for further particle growth. The growth and the nucleation process can be influenced by various factors such as the concentration of the precursor and the precipitant, temperature, reaction kinetics. The next point is particle stabilization. To prevent the nanoparticles from aggregating, a stabilizing agent or a surfactant may be added. These agents can adsorb onto the nanoparticle surface, providing electrostatic or steric repulsion to hinder particle agglomeration. So the particle stabilizing agents such as surfactant, they provide necessary electrostatic or steric repulsion to hinder particle agglomeration. Will hinder particle agglomeration. So these particle stabilizers They prevent the solidification of the nanoparticles into a bulk material. The seventh point is particle separation and collection. After the precipitation reaction is complete, the nanoparticles are separated from the solution. This can be achieved through techniques like centrifugation, filtration, or sedimentation. The collected particles are then washed to remove any impurities or residual reactants. The collected particles will have certain salts and other reactants. To remove these salts and other reactants, we wash the precipitate several times. And the next aspect is drying and post-treatment. The washed nanoparticles are typically dried to remove any remaining solvent. Depending on the specific application, the post-treatment steps such as calcination, annealing, or surface modification may be performed to enhance the properties or the functionality of the nanoparticles. So why drying is done? Drying is done to remove the remaining solvent. Depending on the needs, the post-treatment methods are selected. The post-treatment methods include calcination and annealing. Calcination means heating the sample or specimen, maybe 500 degrees Celsius or higher. Annealing means slowly cooling down the specimen from a higher temperature. Now we shall see the advantages. The first advantage is the method is simple, it is scalable, means any quantity of the material can be made using this particular technique. Thirdly, properties of the nanomaterials can be controlled. Now we shall discuss the solution combustion synthesis. This synthesis method is also known as sol-gel combustion method. Using this method, one can synthesize powders or thin films of nanomaterials. This method involves an exothermic chemical reaction. An exothermic chemical reaction is one chemical reaction in which lot of heat is generated or released. Not only that, the reaction also becomes a source of high pressure. Now we shall look at the steps involved in the solution combustion synthesis method. The first step is preparation of solution. A precursor solution is prepared by dissolving the appropriate metal salts or organic compounds in a suitable solvent. So we prepare the solution by dissolving it in appropriate solvent. The precursor solution may usually contain the desired elements needed for the target material. For instance, we are planning to prepare, let us say, Cu2O nanoparticles. Then we may have to use a material that contains copper and oxygen. One such material could be the copper sulfate. In this we have both copper and oxygen, so such precursor can be useful to prepare the solution for the reaction. The second step is addition of fuel and oxidizer. Why we need to provide fuel and oxidizer? Because the method involves combustion. Combustion takes place with the help of certain fuel. So we need fuel. In order for the combustion to take place, we also need some oxygen. So we have to add fuel and oxidizer to the solution so that when its temperature is raised, we can notice a combustion taking place in the material. A fuel and an oxidizer are added to the precursor solution. Fuels such as glycine is used. We use generally nitrates as oxidizers. Namely, we use ammonium nitrate as oxidizer. The third step is homogenization. The mixture is thoroughly mixed to ensure the uniform distribution of all components. This step is crucial for achieving a homogeneous final product. The mixture is thoroughly mixed to ensure the uniform distribution of all components. To obtain the homogeneous end product, we need to mix thoroughly the mixture of the solvent, fuel and oxidizers. The next step is ignition. Now we have a mixture and the mixture is ignited using some heat source such as open flame or a hot plate. The exothermic reaction between the fuel and the oxidizer initiates a self-sustaining combustion process. This ignition results in a self-sustained combustion process. The fifth step is combustion and synthesis. The combustion process releases a significant amount of heat, as we have discussed, because we have the fuel and the oxidizers in the mixture. And this heat results in the production of a flame. The high temperature and the pressure conditions promote the reaction between the metal precursors and the combustion products. So high temperature and pressure, they promote the reaction between the metal precursors and combustion products, and this leads to the formation of the desired material. The combustion also serves as a heat source to sustain the reaction until completion. The next step is quenching and product recovery. Quenching essentially means bringing the temperature of a substance quickly to a lower temperature. Suppose we have the material at 400 degrees Celsius and we may quench it down to a temperature say 25 degrees Celsius. After quenching, the solid product is collected, washed and dried to remove any residual impurities or byproduct. After quenching, we collect the solid product, wash the product and dry the product to remove any residual impurities or byproducts. The next step is post-treatment. Depending on the specific application and desired properties, the synthesized material may undergo additional processing steps. The post-treatment steps are calcination, milling, or sintering. Calcination essentially means heating the material so that it reaches a high temperature, maybe around 500 degrees Celsius. Milling generally makes the material into small pieces. It's like grinding. And sintering essentially means keeping the material at a higher temperature for a certain amount of time. Any one of them is used as post-treatment method to obtain the end product. The solution combustion technique has certain advantages. The advantages are: the technique is simple, cost-effective, and a range of materials can be synthesized. In this video, we have started our discussion with the precipitation synthesis method. We have seen these steps: the selection of precursor, solvent selection, formation of precipitant, mixing and reaction, particle growth and nucleation, particle stabilization, particle separation and collection, drying and post-treatment. These are the 8 steps involved in the precipitation synthesis of nanoparticles. We have seen the advantages of the method. After that, we have seen the combustion synthesis method, which is also called as sol-gel combustion method. We have said it is an exothermic reaction, and we have seen the steps involved in the solution combustion method. They are preparation of the solution, addition of fuel and oxidizers, homogenization, ignition, combustion, quenching, post-treatment. We have also seen the advantages of the solution combustion method. Thank you.